There's no denying the fact that Rockstar is great at what it does. The company has delivered genre-defining games that are nothing short of masterpieces. But we also can't ignore that they have been nothing but an absolute arse, making decisions against modders and having absolutely no regard for their fan base. But why is Rockstar like this nowadays? Well, for that, we will have to go back to the time when Rockstar first started cracking down on the modders. For years, the studio had a somewhat hands-off approach to mods. They weren't exactly cheerleaders for the modding community, but they weren't too against it either. Well, not publicly at least. But that all changed back in 2017, when Rockstar, out of nowhere, sent a cease and desist letter to the developers of OpenIV, a popular tool for creating single-player mods, claiming that it was enabling cheats in GTA Online. This wasn't really the case, but it was a convenient excuse to try and shut down the modding scene by taking out one of modders' favorite tools. Of course, it resulted in a massive backlash. Both fans and modders alike were outraged, and the outcry was so huge that Rockstar had to backpedal a little and allow OpenIV to continue. But they did so with an agreement that laid out some ground rules for modders that they had to follow if they wanted mod Rockstar games. At first, it seemed kind of fair enough, but in 2019, Rockstar made some subtle changes to the agreement without informing the community. They thought they could just slip by somehow, without anyone realizing, and those subtle changes essentially changed the whole agreement. Now, modders were forbidden from making new games, stories, missions, or maps, which essentially meant the modders weren't supposed to change or add to the original gameplay of the game, import maps from one game to another, or add role-play elements. This was basically Rockstar's another try of stopping the modders from doing anything to their games. And the thing is, these modders weren't doing anything illegal, and in fact, the mods required a legit copy of the game that was paid for. You weren't getting a cracked version of the game with those mods, so it wasn't justified in any way. And I remember that there was actually a time when Rockstar used to showcase some of the mods on their official website. That kind of support made fans, myself included, really happy. And if you're wondering what really changed, then, well, it isn't a secret, because many believe Rockstar wanted to clear the modding scene ahead of the release of their poorly received GTA Trilogy remasters, seeing mods as a threat. It was heartbreaking to think that the very community that kept their games alive for so long got punished like that. But was the trilogy worth it? Absolutely not. It turned out to be an absolute disaster, considered by many to be Rockstar's lowest point in history. The so-called remastered versions were nothing but disappointments. The games were full of bugs and glitches, making it seem like Rockstar didn't even try to put effort into these classics or hide the disaster that they've birthed. I mean, they actually didn't even put any effort because the whole project was outsourced to Grove Street Games, and they tried to put the whole blame on the playtesters, who according to them couldn't find these bugs. Of course, the fans weren't happy, and the games got downvoted by millions shortly after the release. Everything from the questionable graphics to the poor controls and buggy gameplay made me lose whatever faith I had left in Rockstar after their treatment of the modders. To make things worse, they even took away the original games from the stores, so if you wanted to experience the classics, you had no choice but to play these shoddy remasters. Sure, the games are in a much better place now, but the whole situation showed just how little Rockstar cares for their fans or their needs. The only thing they truly remastered with the whole Trilogy Definitive Edition was the price tag, a whopping $60. It was a pure cash grab in the name of nostalgia. If they really did care about the fans and what they actually wanted, they would have tried to revive some of their long-forgotten but awesome IPs, including Midnight Club, one of the best arcade racing games of its time. Or how about Bully, this kind of innovative action-adventure where you played as a schoolboy doing all kinds of fun things, fighting bullies, playing pranks on teachers, or wreaking havoc on the school. Those were some fun times. The point is, Bully was an absolute gem, and one that definitely deserved a sequel. But instead of sequels to these beloved franchises, Rockstar seems more interested in cashing in on old GTA Classics remasters, or re-releasing GTA 5 on next-gen consoles, calling it expanded and enhanced. In reality, of course, nothing was expanded nor enhanced. It's the same game we've been playing since 2013, just with a fresh coat of paint. I'm not saying I don't appreciate that, because I'm a huge GTA fan, but all Rockstar seems to be obsessed with is GTA Online, which makes sense because it's Rockstar's golden goose. It's been a decade and GTA 5 is still doing incredibly well, pulling in around $500 million every single year just from microtransactions alone, selling shark cards, and GTA Plus subscriptions. For Rockstar, it's easier to just come up with new content and missions for GTA Online than to shift focus to franchises that have been sitting dormant for a while now, with GTA Online raking in hundreds of millions in profits every year. The studio is in a comfortable position where they don't need to innovate, or take risks, or revive old IPs, or even release single-player DLCs to make fans happy. While it's understandable why Rockstar is so focused on GTA Online, I can't help but yearn for the return of some of their old franchises. And while we talk about the online mode, it's hard to ignore these pervasive microtransactions and paywalls throughout the game. Most of the content is designed to push players towards buying shark cards, and it's definitely working. And recently, Rockstar even increased the price of the GTA Plus subscription by 20%, and you can bet players will continue to pay, and they are. Some might say, alright, but at least they're listening to the community and rolling out new content and quality of life updates to improve the experience in GTA Online. Sure they are, but everything is hidden behind a paywall. For instance, under the bottom dollar DLC, Rockstar released an update that allows players to claim all their business safe earnings directly from their phone, which sounds great, but that should have been a feature available to all players, regardless of the subscription. Instead, it's hidden behind a paywall, which really highlights how greedy Rockstar has become. It's like GTA Online is becoming one of those pay-to-win, heavy MMO titles that are designed to help the rich avoid grinding and get the royal treatment. This shift towards monetizing every little feature makes me super concerned about the direction GTA Online is heading. But we can't put all the blame on Rockstar. It's us, the players, who continue to pay for all this stuff. Our willingness to shell out cash for these microtransactions is likely a big reason why Rockstar isn't in a hurry to release their next GTA title. I mean, why would they, when GTA Online is such a lucrative cash cow that is likely to stay like this for years? What's more frustrating is that Rockstar has also been ruining Online's experience for a while now by constantly adding overpowered stuff that makes the game unplayable at times, especially for newbies. I'm talking about those damn flying bikes and cars with rockets on them. They've kind of ruined online public lobbies. They're filled with griefers and exploiters who hunt down new players, killing them repeatedly until they either exit and move to another session, or retreat to a private lobby with friends. Sure, Rockstar did put some restrictions in place to avoid lobbies from becoming toxic like the passive mode, but those griefers have always managed to find a way around them. This has forced many players to leave public sessions altogether and move to private lobbies, and I'm glad we can do that now, without having to worry about missing out on much, and players can do pretty much everything available in a public lobby without all those chaos-loving crybabies and exploiters ruining the game for everyone. I would have loved it if we had two different public lobbies, one with all these futuristic weaponized machines and one without them. This way, players who enjoy the madness of rocket bikes and flying cars could have their fun, while those who prefer a more grounded experience could enjoy the game without constant harassment. It would provide a much-needed balance and make the game enjoyable for all types of players, but I'm pretty sure we can't expect that from Rockstar. They have hardly listened to the community, whether it's modders or the fans. And that brings my attention to another toxic trait that Rockstar has become famous for: the secrecy and minimal interaction with fans. It's one thing to keep your upcoming games a secret, because fans do believe in Rockstar's ability to create one-of-a-kind gaming experience without the community's feedback. That's just how it's been for a very long time. But it's a whole different thing to just cut the lines of communication with your fanbase when you are releasing new content, remakes, or so-called enhanced versions. And we saw that clearly when Rockstar decided to release the trilogy. They should have at least given critics a chance to have some hands-on time with the game, but obviously, critics would have spoken out about the absolute worst experience they had with the Definitive Edition's nightmare gameplay, full of bugs and glitches. Rockstar wouldn't have been able to sell as many copies, and instead, they would have had to spend time fixing all those bugs, and the hype would have died down. So, they decided not to share a peep with anyone, and just launched the trilogy in its bug-riddled state. That's just how transparent and considerate the company is with their fans. The aggressive stance against the modding community, the focus on milking GTA Online for every cent, and the poor handling of the trilogy's release all point to a company more interested in profits than anything. I could go on and on about all the ways Rockstar has let its fans down, but the truth is, that's just how things have been for a while now, and I think it's time we all just accepted the fact that Rockstar has changed for the worst.